Hasbro just revealed the 3-pack of the Savage Land Rogue, Shauna, and Sauron, but they don't snap that snap like they used to. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Strong Collectors Podcast. I'm your host, Dakota, here with my very special guest, Rich M, aka Displayed Once. We stole him from Dan Who. We've got him
released.
For the day. Now, Jordan and Dan Who both don't really play Marvel Snap, but Rich and I do. So we thought we should come together and talk about this Marvel Snap 3-pack that Hasbro's going to be having for their San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Now, I think you probably agree that this is as loosely as possible based off of Marvel Snapped, because yes, there are these characters in cards, but it's like Rogue is a variant, and there's so many cards in Marvel Snap that does this really make any sense at all?
It makes no sense whatsoever. Like they did have a Savage Land season in Marvel Snap, so that kind of fits, and I think that's where the Rogue card like first showed up. I think the variant for Rogue, but I mean Shauna and Sauron are in the game, but the Rogue is like a variant that you've got to like spend money to get or like earn through like a random box type of system. It's all weird, and it makes no sense. It makes no sense as a 3-pack because you would never put Sauron and Rogue on the same team due to like their powers. It's just crazy. It is the most basic set they could have done, but it's as a Savage Land set, it's good. Mm-hmm. As a Marvel Snap set, it's a nonsense. It's a complete nonsense. But that's what we've come to expect from Hasbro. They just phone it in, don't they? We think about these things way more than them.
Yeah, and I think because I have to just guess that like they maybe have to use so much of the Gamerverse. They're like, oh, we've got this Gamerverse like logo box thing, like throw something else out there, and they're like, Marvel Snap, pull it in. Because I mean, it probably does help like maybe bring a little bit of awareness to the game, because I don't hear a lot of people in the Facebook groups that are collecting Marvel Legends also playing Marvel Snap. But I don't know, it's a stretch.
The only thing I can think of that benefits this theme is Shauna's outfit, because I think when they first showed Shauna the She-Devil, a lot of people were like, oh, this outfit is not like Frank Cho levels of revealing. They've like covered her up, you can't see any cleavage, anything like that. But in Marvel Snap, this is exactly the outfit that she wears. So maybe they were like, aha, you can't get us Marvel fans. That is why. It's because it's a Marvel Snap thing, all for Shauna the She-Devil, so we can cover up a bit.
True. All right, so we've gotten these 3 figures now as our first ever Marvel Snap Gamerverse figures. But we're going to talk about what other figures from Marvel Snap that they've never done, because these 3 figures, they've already done some iteration of Rogue, Shauna, and Sauron, but there's a lot of cards in Marvel Snap that they've never had as Marvel Legends that maybe a little bit more make more sense than these. So we're going to go through some of those today. If there's any that I forget, because there's a chance that I do forget something, let me know in the comments.
But by the time we like put this episode out, there'll be like a new pack of cards out anyway, because they seem to be releasing updates like all the time. So
true, and I guess caveat: this does not include this current season of all the different figures they've got for that, but mostly current in the cards. So we're gonna go sort of based off of energy here, and if you don't know what energy is, it doesn't really matter. We're just gonna go in this order. So 3 at a time here. We've never had Bast, Meek, or Echo. I think I'm most surprised about Echo because we had her in the Disney Plus show. So I thought, I'm including MCU and comic figures. We've never had any Echo. Is that right?
Yeah, never had an Echo. And the same with Meek, who's been in like the MCU as well. Like we've never had either of those characters. Like Bast is probably a bit more understandable why we haven't had, because she's very much a minor god in the comic books. But I think like of them all, Echo is in any kind of look, whether MCU, whether a comic look, whether when she was Ronin for a bit, like she does so many looks in the comic. She was the Phoenix in the Jason Aaron run. There's so much scope with Echo to do an Echo figure, and I think of like the Marvel Knights kind of character. She kind of ties in with that as well. and she's been an Avenger, so it's weird that we haven't had her. But equally, Meek, because we've had Korg in the MCU anyway, at least like his buddy, but we've never had a figure of him. And I think especially now that like Planet Hulk, they're like bringing back as well, and they. So I think that's like where he like debuts. He would be a good figure to get as well. So
yeah, I know Jordan has been wanting to complete a Warbound team, and I think, I guess, if you were going to guess which Meek they would give us from the comics, would it be kind of his first original, like smaller look, or would it be this kind of more jacked up, evolved Meek?
See, it's hard because like in the MCU, it's like both as well. It's like it's more the smaller one, but then I think maybe this one because that's how he's looking now in the comic book. But I think this one would be harder to do with like the forearms as well. So who knows with Hasbro? Will they ever get to it?
Right. All right. Next up, these are our next three. We've got Quinjet, Uncle Ben, and Snowguard. I think I've heard a lot of people say they want Quinjet as a possible HasLab, and Jordan never shuts up about getting a new or any Uncle Ben in action figure form.
This Uncle Ben's a weird one for me because even though he's like important to the Spider-Man mythos, he's such like a minor thing. Like just put a tombstone as with a Peter Parker or something like that. I don't think you need an Uncle Ben. Uncle Ben is such a shit character in Marvel Snap. He just like dies and then Spider-Man replaces him. That's all that happens. And he's quite new, and he's like I think the last season he showed up for the first time. Like Snowguard is a newer character. She's got good abilities in the game, but I don't think she's a character we need. I think to finish off that like kind of like Champions era team, we more need like Kid Pocket, Kid Cyclops even. I think he's the missing one from the Champions. Like we've got like Miss Marvel, we've got like Miles Morales.
Because I think Vision and because we've got the Amadeus Cho Hulk and because Snowguard was kind of a later addition to the team, like maybe even in Volume 2 or something. So you could put, but not before you finish the core team. I think would be the main. But then, do you think it's possible that we would ever get a Quinjet as a either made to order or a HasLab?
I think we could, but I would assume that if they're going to do a jet-like vehicle, the Blackbird jet would be first before Quinjet, just because of like X-Men 97, that kind of thing. I think that would be easier to do, because with the Quinjet as well, you'd be like, do you do an MCU version? Do you do a comic book version? Do you do like the little smaller Quinjets where like only two of them are in? Like, what are you going to do? I think whereas like the Blackbird jet is just, there's just one Blackbird jet, we'll just do that type of thing. Yeah.
I feel like the problem with the Blackbird jet though is how big is that going to be? Because are you going to be able to fit 6 of your X-Men in there?
Yeah, 107 X-Men in the back.
Exactly. That's where some people are I'm just like, use your imagination. Like, make it just this big. It fits on a shelf and force perspective or something. You know, it's flying way higher than the ceiling actually is. So that would be my take on it. All right, we doubled up on Uncle Ben, but we've got Martyr and Pixie. I think a lot of people have been surprised, or I'm surprised that they've never done a Pixie, especially because I think she was pretty popular kind of when she came into the comics. She's kind of not quite in as much now, but I feel like she was in all the like promo
as the
stuff.
Token Welshman of this podcast, I think I take objection to your Pixie is not. Pixie is always the best X-Man. She's always the best one. Cymru am byth. Like Pixie is long overdue. I think there was a period in the 2000s where like Pixie was like that, the Jubilee or the Kitty Pryde or the X-23. Like she was that young entry level character to the team. Like that's gone now, but she's still been around like in the Krakoan era. She was on Nightcrawler's team. She was there like through it all. I don't think she's been since they've relaunched it. I don't think we've seen her in the from the Ashes era. But she's got such a great look. It would be easy to do as well. And I think this costume, you could do a lot of the new X-Men. I mean, like a lot of the new X-Men wear this costume as well. So once you've done it once, you can do a lot of other characters in it, whether that be like Armor. I mean, like Surge even wears it at one point, Mercury, those kind of characters as well. But yeah, she would be great. And I think Martha is long overdue, but I would like Philavelle in a more like Captain Marvel type of costume. I think to pair with Moondragon, that would be a great character. Again, useless card in the game because she makes you lose the game. So anyone would want to play this. I suppose it's low cost and high power for like a one card But otherwise, you wouldn't play that, I don't think. But
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe if you're
Pixie,
an
pick of all
eater.
these,
Yeah.
Pixie would be my pick.
Yep. I agree. I think that's definitely the more popular. I don't think I've read a single comic with Martyr in it. I've only known her from the game, but the look of the card here looks cool. So I'm like, I could see me getting a figure of this, and it would have went well on our Marvel Legends Pride Wave that we just had last week, but didn't
Yeah.
quite make the cut.
You need to check out the Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning, Guardians of the Galaxy run, the first volume of the relaunch after Annihilation.
Okay.
That's got some good stuff with Philavel, and obviously like Peter David's Captain Marvel run. That's got some good stuff with Philavel as well.
Okay. I'll do that. You mentioned armor. Here she is here with Shadow King and Baron Mordo. Well, I guess this is a little bit of a looser slide here because we've had the head of Shadow King, which I didn't think really counted as a figure. And Baron Mordo, I guess I always forget that we got the MCU version of him, but I've just been wanting a comic book version so bad so I could complete my, I can't remember what the team is that goes off against the Defenders in the like early Red Hulk stuff. But he's the last one I need to go with my Terrax, Red Hulk, and Tiger Shark.
I mean, Baron Mordo is long overdue, and it's weird that we've had MCU figures of him now, but we've never had this classic looking Baron Mordo. I think he's one of the characters like I think America Chavez, where we've got MCU versions but not comic book versions. So that would be a great character to get. Armor, I think, would be great to get. But I think to get it successfully, it's a much harder
Yeah.
figure for them to figure out. I think it would probably have to be like a made-to-order figure with Hasbro's the way they are now. But equally, I don't think. I think a lot of people are like, oh, they could never do it. I don't think it's that hard. It's just a snap
Right.
over armor, like
Yep.
on the top of it. I don't think it's that difficult to pull off. And like you said about Shadow King, I'm happy with the Shadow King that we've got because, like Farouk, the human form of Shadow King, you just need a Kingpin body, that Professor X set, put the head on, and away you go. You can even get that black Gameverse Kingpin is coming this year. So
Yep.
if you want to like vary it from your Kingpin, get that and then chuck it on the shelf. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happier with that. Like if we're gonna get another Shadow King, I want it to be like the monstrous, like astral plane version type of thing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, kind of like you said, with Baron Mordo, it really doesn't make that much, because like some of these, like it probably, for Meek, that would be a fully new figure that's obviously something that's a little bit more out there. Baron Mordo,
Yeah.
he's got like a little loin piece and a cape, and then otherwise it's just kind of a spandex suit, which is most of our Marvel Legends. That's not that hard to do. A head sculpt and some power effects. Where is that figure at? I could
And
see them.
he's
Go ahead.
like to me as well, Baron Mordo. He's the the Lex Luthor to Superman. He's like Doctor Strange's main villain is Baron Mordo to me. So it's a weird gap to get in that like in the Mystic universe on your shelves.
Yeah, I agree. And with armor, I could see them. I think a made to order would work the best to have a figure and then the bigger. Like, I don't think she needs to be like a ginormous Sentinel sized armored up thing, to me anyway. Like, this card here has her like ginormous.
Yeah.
But I could see them doing, if they were going to not have like a fully encased armor figure, they could give her like a translucent port on arm effect. So it's like she's punching you with an armored up hand. Again, that's probably not, people would complain that that's not the full power set, but it'd be something, and you'd have an armor on your shelf. So I don't know.
But even this version, it wouldn't be because the thing with armor is the armor changes sizes. It can be like
Right.
either like close to it or it can be this massive like neck thing. But even if you didn't want to get into like all the nitty gritty of like sculpting stuff over all her limbs, you could just put her in like a front and back bit of the torso and head, with,
Yeah.
like snap over her, and then you just make the arms and legs articulate, but she's not actually in the arms and legs, so it doesn't really affect her. So
Yeah.
I know she would lose like any articulation then in the head or the body, but equally, it's a girl inside a giant mech. You need it to be doing
Right.
that and any crazy poses. So I think
Yeah.
there is a way of doing it, but I just think it would cost money for Hasbro,
Yeah.
and I don't think they've got like another character where they could reuse it. I don't think there's not like an evil armor out there that they could reuse
Sure.
that type of thing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Next three, we've got Gorgon, Ferris Wolf, and Swarm. Jordan mentions Swarm about every time we ever talk about future retro cards coming. And I would love to see that. I would for sure be getting a Gorgon, or for sure getting a Swarm. Ferris Wolf doesn't make as much sense to me. And Gorgon might be hard just because of the robes look. You might have to do like an alternate look, but I do like the character of Gorgon.
I like Gorgon as well, and he was at the beginning of the House of X era as well, so he was like there in modern times. They resurrected him. He's a good villain, like whether for the Avengers or when he like fights Wolverine as well. So Gorgon in any look I would take. I would guess as well they wouldn't do this one. They'd probably do his more like business suit, modern day look. I'm guessing. Swarm would be an amazing figure, but how do they pull that off? How do they get like all those like the effect of all the swarm inside him? That would be interesting. And Fenris Wolf, if anything, it would be probably a Build-A-Figure type of thing, like Zabu was, or like Cosmo MCU was, like that kind of like little bath of just a wolf type of thing. And I suppose you could reuse it for like Wolfsbane. You could do like a little alternate form of Wolfsbane in brown as well. So
yeah, there you go. I think that could work. I think obviously Ferris Wolf is probably the least likely, but yeah, I kind of wonder if they could use the MCU Sandman body. Probably not. Like I don't think that's quite as bumpy as it needs to be for a Swarm.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like, what are they going to really reuse that body for? So it's MCU. I know it gets more of the budget, but I think Swarm is. You got to do it, Hasbro. Here are please. Victoria Hand, Maximus, and Ghost Rider 1 million BC. Again, maybe I'm a little bit loose on the Ghost Riders had a figure, but Ghost Rider 1 million BC hasn't had a figure. I've heard rumblings of people wanting. Mammoth. Yeah, exactly. That'd probably have to be a made to order. I doubt that would sell super hot, but I'm sure some people would be super excited to see it.
I think with that, the first Avengers, you could do it as like a 5-pack type of thing with like Firehawk, all the other that's the first Phoenix, isn't it? Firehawk, and you could do that kind of thing. I don't know if we would get a giant mammoth, or that might be a bit more.
Maybe that's a Build-A-Figure, just not quite giant as it should be, but something.
I think that would sell though. I think the giant mammoth would sell as a kind of like a Build-A-Figure, build your own mammoth. But yeah, I'm not sure if we need the first Ghost Rider. Maximus overdue. I think the Inhumans line, like we've never had any villains. We haven't competed the good Inhumans first, but yeah, I think of all the villains for the Inhumans, Maximus the Mad is one we need. Victoria Hand. She was key to like that Dark Avengers era, but she's been dead a long time in the comic books. So it's not. I don't think we need a Victoria Hand. She's just a woman in a business suit with a big gun and her purple streaks in her hair. I don't think she's needed for that many displays. Like I think for the Dark Avengers, there's other characters I'd like to see before we get to Victoria.
True, because you probably wouldn't really display her. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't see her with the team. She's always like a behind the scenes. It's like, I put her in the back of the shelf, and do I really need that? Probably not.
You could put her with your shield agents before she turns evil.
Mm-hmm. The next three, we've got Sage, Cassandra Nova, and Debris. I think Cassandra Nova is probably the most likely. I can't remember if she's on the leaks list or not. I never can remember what's a leak and what's our delusions, but I would think we would get an MCU figure of her before a comic book version, and even the MCU version would still work as a comic book version. They look pretty similar.
Yeah, her look in the Deadpool and Wolverine is very similar to a comic book, especially in more modern day. When they brought her back, she's essentially Professor X as a lady. That's like what her look is, and she's got these. She's evil though. She is evil. And I think for like your new X-Men display, which we don't have enough new X-Men, we need updates of all them. But for a villain for that era, she's great. Again, she comes back in the House of X. Great character. Sage, this is Sage in her House of X look. So it's when she's working for like X-Force. She's got a yellow jacket. She's obviously stolen Jubilee's look, and she's managing like all her computers. But with Sage, I'd much prefer, and this is sacrilegious for me to say, but I prefer her Extreme X-Men look, because Extreme X-Men's an awful comic book, but it needs that like Wolverine that was released this year. Like it needs someone to go with that. It needs to start building out that Extreme team, and like that's where Sage joined the X-Men. She'd worked for the Hellfire Club before, and I like that look with her like her skin is paler. She's got the markings on her eyes, and she's got that like over the shoulder one piece on, and like all her guns and that. That would be a great look. Debris, I love that version of the New Warriors. So like that Namorita that everyone hates is one of the only figures I've got displayed like in my room. So I love that. Debris would fit with that, with like the third volume of New Warriors, with that reality TV show. And of course, she's got the best power in the game. She can put those giant rocks in to like pull up the board for everyone else, fill it all up. I'm surprised we didn't get the giant rock as a Marvel snap, like just as a convention piece. They could have just done that. They reused the one from the Sentinel
Yeah.
2-pack and just be like Marvel snap rock, and that would have been it. That's all.
That
they
would have been a
needed
good
to
idea.
do.
I like that
But
idea.
I like that we got three figures better than just another rock. But yeah, but I mean,
Right.
you could do Debris and two rocks, make it a
Yeah.
Target exclusive. I'm sure that would sell.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be fun. I think I would, for these, I think I would really hope that Cassandra Nova comes with an alternate, like, I don't know whose head you would choose, but I want her fingers going through somebody's head. So maybe you just make that like a normal civilian, or maybe you make it like so her hand is kind of like coming out the face so that it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. It's kind of like obscuring whoever it is. I think that would be super cool. Probably not going to happen, but a boy can
I,
dream.
if they do it if they did it as an MCU, I could see them doing it. Like if there was an MCU figure, I could see something like that. But I think if it's a comic book one, probably not.
Yeah. Next three, we've got our Diamondback, Hazmat, and Nocturne. I think, I mean, I don't think I've read a single comic with any of these figures or with any of these characters in it. So
Oh,
I'm
Dakota!
sorry.
I might,
I'm sorry.
leave in protest now. These are great characters. Like Diamondback has been around a long time. Like the one-time lover of Captain America. She's great in that run. Then she becomes like she's Bad Girls Inc. She's part of the Serpent Society, and they have their own like little spin-off. So her, Black Mamba. No, is it? Yeah, Black Mamba and Asp. The other three. They join together and they kind of like mercenaries for hire in the Deadpool solo series. They're in that. Really great characters. And then in the Domino series from Gail Simone, a Diamondback is part of the Hot Shots, Domino's little support group. She's great in that again. She's rich in that, and that's where she gets this like updated costume with like the hood and the cape. It's kind of like Zatanna's like tails like flowing behind her. It's a good look. I love Diamondback. Of all the Serpent Society characters, she's the one that I wanted. And obviously, she was supposed to be in the latest Captain America movie. Then they reshot it and pulled all of the bits out of it. Because I've got little McDonald's Happy Meal Diamondback
Right.
toy. Never gonna see her again. Never gonna see her again.
Yeah.
Hazmat is, I think she's from Avengers
She's in the
Academy.
Avengers Academy? Yeah, okay. I have read a couple issues of that, like when it was first coming out.
That's a good run. But she's also in Avengers Arena. It's where Arcade takes all like the teen characters from around the Marvel universe. Like X-23 is there, Sentinel is there, and it puts them in this like Hunger Games type thing, battle royale, where they've all got to like kill each other. She's great in that. Hazmat,
Okay.
really good character, and I think she shows up in. She's a supporting character in the Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel series. So she's still about in the MCU. And then Nocturne is the alternate daughter of Nightcrawler and the Scarlet Witch, because, Kurt
interesting.
Wagner in another universe, he fell in love with the witch. Why not? She's a great character. Exiles, the first, I think, first 50, 60 issues of Exile. She's part of the team with like Blink and Morph and Mimic. Great character. She's in a relationship with Thunderbird, but it's like an alternate Thunderbird where he's one of the former horsemen of the apocalypse. She's kind of like falling apart. And yeah, she's great. And she does come into the 616. I think she joins New Excalibur, but that's not as good. But in Exile, she's a great character. And she's good in the game as well, because she can change like a bad location into like a different one. So that's quite good as well. So yeah, I'd love all of these. This would be a great lineup.
Yeah. This would have been more of a 3-pack you'd be after than the current one.
I'd be wanting this more than the Savage Land one,
Sure.
I think.
We've got Wave, Swordmaster, and Doom 2099. I think Doom 2099 to me makes the most sense just because I think he's in Snap, but he's also like a big part of Marvel Rivals, at least in I think the early season. and I think that kind of like made him popular. That's why he's in this game too, I think. But Doctor Doom is going to keep getting more popular once, we see Robert Downey Jr. play him in the MCU and whatever happens with that. Swordmaster, again, another character I haven't read anything about, but he's also, I think he's the Shang-Chi in Marvel Rivals.
Iron Fist. He's Iron Fist.
Oh, Iron Fist. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Wave is in the new Spider-Man cartoon. So all of these are, somewhat popular. They're in people's minds, even if they aren't exactly aware of who they are.
I think especially with Doomsday coming up as well, I think like alternate versions of Doom are going to be something that they're going to want to do. And this like mech version of Doom from the future, like Doom 2099 is a great comic book run as well. And like you said, he is key to Marvel Rivals because it's like him fighting the regular Doom. He's like the big bad behind the scenes manipulating things. You can do all the mech Doom bots with him.
Yeah.
I think if they did a Marvel Rivals wave, I would assume Doom 2099 and probably Luna Snow would be the definites in there.
Yep.
I think Swordmaster, I've read his comic books, not really that keen, but I do like him as the new Iron Fist. But then I think I read a press release just yesterday that they're already bringing back Danny Rand. Like the undead Danny Rand is coming back, I think, in September of this year. So it's going to be a short run. But I think for Marvel Rivals wave again, that version of Iron Fist would be a character we could get. Wave I like as a character. She hasn't really done much in the comic book. She's been in, I think, Agents of Atlas. She joined the later version of that team where it was all like the Australian, Asian superheroes joining together. But yeah, she's got a unique look. It's very much like Fathom type hero, like Michael Turner's Fathom, or like an MCU spin on that. But I would take all these three, all characters I like. So yeah.
Yeah. I know Jordan would lose his mind over some Doom bots. So if Doom 2099 can make that happen, I think a lot of people just want more 2099 characters. Like they want Ghost Rider 2099, Hulk 2099, maybe some of the X-Men. So they could do a whole 2099 wave even.
The thing with the 2099 characters is, apart from Spider-Man, they tend to all disappear. They don't tend to be out as much. But I think Doom 29 has always persisted because it is essentially Doom from now in the future, whereas all the other characters are descendants or completely new characters taking on the roles. But with Doom, I just think it's the easiest one to do for the 2099 universe as well. Because it's with the X-Men, you have to build up the whole team, the Fantastic Four, you have to build out everyone. But he can just be a one and done. You haven't got to do anyone else with him. And then he can dictate to Spider-Man.
Yeah, true. It makes too much sense, Hasbro. Make it happen. The next three, we've got Leech, Luffy, and Moon Girl. I think I'll have Devil Dinosaur on here next, but I think Moon Girl seems pretty popular as far as for younger comic readers or superhero fans. Leech, I don't know that we'd really see him, especially not in this little kid look. Although I love X-Men 97 episode 5 where Magneto's protecting Leech. And then Luffy would be cool. I mean, I think it's probably more likely we just get a frost giant or something.
Yeah.
But you could say that that's a specific character if you wanted to, I guess.
I mean, I think if they Luffy would be that would he have to be a made to order character type of thing as well? Right. Because it seems to be once we go above a certain height, they don't seem to be able to do them now anymore in regular Legends Wave. The builder figures have more or less disappeared. Yeah. So I think that would be where Luffy would be. But like you said, maybe more generic Frost Giant and with alternate heads. And then you could army build them. They'd get more money. More money, Hasbro. And Hasbro love money, don't they?
Make it like the Super Deluxe, like the Venom they just did.
They could, like the Odin set with different heads type of thing, like that kind of thing.
I don't know if you probably don't do much with Mythic Legions, but they have a kind of a Frost Giant coming out pretty soon too. So that could, fudge in for your Luffy if you needed.
Is he in blue, or does he have garment bits of cloth?
He doesn't have ice and stuff like this picture has of Luffy, but he's got the kind of same bear skin or whatever soft goods, and I'm pretty sure it comes with some sort of weapon. I don't know if it, again, probably not exactly like this, but it's got to come with something, I think. Like an axe or a mace or something.
I mean, I would buy Luffy, but like I would want Moon Girl more because the Moon
Hmm.
Girl series I really like, and like you said, like yeah, young people, especially because I think it's like a Disney kids
Yeah.
series as well. They've done 2 seasons of the Moon Girl TV show. It's an interesting relationship. I know a lot of like older readers do not like Moon Girl at all because it's like
Right.
this young kid who's like the most intelligent person in the Marvel universe. But she's just a fun, great character. And when you see her like riding Devil Dinosaur, it's really
Right.
good. And when they swap minds as well. Like that's always like quite
Mm,
funny. Leech, I would like Leech to build up the Morlock figures, but like Leech is like you said, like a little tiny, like it would be hard to do as a full release. He's more
yeah.
like kind of like not like Howard the Duck. He doesn't really need to
Right.
fully articulate, just a little tiny because he's not like Franklin Richards size. He's smaller than that again. And then it's like, how do you do that in action figure form? Do you just make him like a little like pack-in that doesn't move at all or something like that?
Yeah. Because I think it would be cool to see more of the Morlocks, but
Yeah,
like you said, it's a. All right, how are you going to really do Leech? I think doing him as a kind of like the baby Wolverine, maybe, or like yeah, just
yeah.
Howard the Duck. But then they're gonna call it a 2-pack, and they're gonna then that's gonna make me upset. Usually I'm talking about everybody else getting upset. I did not like when they called Wolverine a figure in a 4-pack. I was like, you guys are get out of here. Just head articulation doesn't count as a figure. All right, Rock Slide, Hell Cow, Kahori. And Kahori makes the most sense. Although Rock Slide has an argument too, but Kahori being in the MCU, I'm shocked we haven't gotten a what if figure of her yet. I really liked that episode, so I would for sure be down for that, even though I don't really collect MCU figures. I wish she would be in the comics more because, like, I just thought that episode was cool, and they put in a new character, which I think a lot of people were kind of like, oh, just you got plenty of characters to use. I think they did a good job. I was happy with it. Hell Cow, though, now that would turn some heads, Hasbro.
I would love Hellcow to the mall. I think Hellcow would be amazing. Like this vampire cow just going around biting people, teaming up with
Yeah.
Deadpool. It's an interesting look anyway, and maybe as like some kind of like build a figure, like weird,
Yes.
obscure build a figure. I don't think it
Yep.
would sell on its own type of thing. You'd have to put it with something else or make it
Mm-hmm.
like an accessory or a convention exclusive, the
Yeah.
perfect Marvel Snap package, weird characters you'll never see again.
Right.
Rock Slide fits in with Pixie. He's part of that like new
Mm-hmm.
X Men Academy X era. He's a character I think, especially for a builder figure. He's so similar. Like this look is like his look varies depending on who's drawn him, but there are looks where he's more or less like Thing with a vest
Right.
on and
Mm-hmm.
painted grey. So
Yep.
he's so you could just reuse bits of the Thing and put it on Rock Slide in like a new X Men uniform. And he's weird that we haven't got him, especially when they seem to be like struggling to find build a figure characters who they can do easily. I think he
Mm-hmm.
would be a really easy one to do. Kahuri, like the What If episode was great, but again, she was created just for that TV show. So there is no comic book history. She was like put into the comic books after it. So as a comic book lover first and an MCU lover like fifth on my list, I'm not as like Kahuri. There's about 1,000 people I would need before
Sure.
her. But equally, if they are going to do more What If waves, she's probably a strong candidate for that because I
Mm-hmm.
think some of the What If figures, like Nebula with her hair, were very weak
Right.
choices of all the
Yes.
different characters they had to do. So I think for Kahuri, like in the was it the last season, she was like quite central to it. She had a big
Mm-hmm.
episode. Then she
Yep.
turns up at the end. Like she would be if they're going to do another What If wave. I could see her turning up in there.
Yeah. I think for Rock Slide, I would. It'd be hard for me for him because I think if I would want him in like the Hellions, like the red X-Men
Yeah,
type costume. But then as soon as I get that, then they're going to put out a Mercury, and I'm going to be like, oh, okay, I'll take her too. And then I'm going to have to complete the team. I don't need a whole nother team, but I do remember that being like one of the first, like, because I think it was like a mini series or something they were in that like my
yeah.
uncle got us when I was like really younger. So that was really fun. So I'd have, there's some nostalgia pull there. Like you said, Hellcow would just be hilarious. Never read anything with him, but do you really need to read? Do you need to know anything about him? It's a vampire cow. You should want that, people. All right. Next, we've got Stegron, Misery, and Devil Dinosaur. I think Stegron would make a lot of sense as a Build-A-Figure. Devil Dinosaur probably as a made-to-order. And everybody loves the symbiotes, so there's Misery for you.
Yeah, Misery, I think, would be the easiest one for them to do as well. It is just like that Scream body with just new bits on it. Like I know she's got the like spider tentacles hanging over where she like stabs people, but you could get away without doing that as well. You would just have her like normally with that like monstrous face. Stegron, really. So when I was like going through this list earlier, like looking at the characters, I assumed we'd had Stegron, but it's not. Is it Armadillo in
Yeah,
the
we've had
Spider-Man?
Armadillo. Yep.
So I mean that would be pretty easy. Just put a new head and tail on him, and away you go. Because I thought we already had him anyway, so it's not
Right.
that hard. Devil Dinosaur's probably the hardest one to do because it's going to have to be like a big, chunky figure. But it would be a great one. Like if they were still doing HasLabs, which I'm not asking to come back by any means, but like Devil Dinosaur with like an original like Moon Boy and then like maybe Moon Girl as like an add-on would have been like a good way to go. But equally, if they're going to do this as a made-to-order figure, that would be a good thing to do. And again, they could kind of reuse this design because we've seen like the Spider Rex character in the Spider-Verse, and there's like a Venom variant of that now in the Venom-verse as well. So there are other dinosaurs they could do. They could do, even though she's much smaller, they could do Old Lace from the Runaways as well. Like they could do a dinosaur subline, just build dinosaurs out.
Yeah. I think during that same like Savage Land season, they had the variant cards of like Captain America as I think he was a T-Rex and Iron Man was a Brontosaurus, and I think those are kind of fun. But yeah, I probably wouldn't need a big T-Rex. I've seen a lot of people do like their customs of the Jurassic Parks and then just paint them red. So maybe this would be more of like a Titans series or something, because they usually do some of those bigger, don't need to be as articulated characters. So maybe if that Moon Girl show really pops off, that could happen. Stegron, I think, would be fun.
That's the weird thing, though, is that because like that Moon Girl seems like they've had 2 seasons, and like merchandise-wise, apart from like Funko Pops, we haven't really saw anything from Hasbro, even in the like kids lines. Like they do, like the Spider-Man and his amazing friend. They've done figures off them, even dinosaur figures. Because I think Reptile was on like the later season. They did like Spider-Man versions of like Spider-Gwen and Miles Morales, and then you've got the upcoming, I think, Iron Man Armored Friends, and like Hulk is now part of the team as well, and he's got like mech and everything. But they already have announced figures for that. Moon Girl seems to have been looked over, so maybe the days of Moon Girl are done.
Yeah, unfortunate, but I don't know. Maybe
it's a good show though. Like if you've got kids as well, check it out on Disney Plus. I think, especially if you're in the UK. I'm not in America, so I'm not sure. International rights may vary, but it's all of it is streaming on Disney Plus in the UK.
Yeah, nice. I haven't checked it out yet, but it's been on my list of things to see. My niece is coming to visit in the next week, so maybe I'll throw that on for her and see what it's all about.
Sorted.
All right, we've got Namora, Arrow, and Agamotto. I wasn't sure if Namora was also Namorita. I didn't think so. I thought that was 2 separate characters, but you have to correct me. Okay.
No, you're right. Yeah, Namora is a different character to Namorita. So Namorita is like, I think, the daughter and the clone of Namora.
Okay.
It's complicated in Atlantis. Sure. But Namora is the OG queen of Atlantis, but I'm not as keen on this look for Namora. I would prefer like her blue exiles look again. There's a lot of blue people in the exiles, but I would love Namora in that look more than this one. Like again, I think this is more going off. What's the film? The Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever.
So I suppose they've made like Namora more fitting in with that kind of look. So yeah, it's nice, but I don't really need it. Arrow, I like this look, but again, she's another character who hasn't really done much in the comic book. She was part of like, I think they had like a Chinese initiative, didn't they, with Swordsmaster, and did these like online comic books with the 2 of them. Yeah. And then Arrow ended up being folded into the Agents of Atlas. She joined like that later team. So she's got a good look. I think it would be easy to do, but maybe she hasn't got like the popularity yet. Because I think like other characters, like obviously Swordmaster was turned into Iron Fist, and then he's in Marvel Rivals, and then someone like Luna Snow, who's also big in Marvel Rivals. I think we're more likely to get them.
Yeah.
Agamotto, he's got the eye of Agamotto, but do I need a figure of him? No, I'm good with the chain around Doctor Strange. That's all I need.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I like the card in Snap. That's one of my favorites. I'm happy to have him. But yeah, I think, yeah, these could probably all be passes for me if they were figures. Agamotto would probably be the most tempting just because I think he looks cool.
Yeah.
But I don't have any attachment to the character necessarily. Alioth, Living Tribunal, and Isan. Now we're getting into some bigger characters. I definitely don't think I need a Cloud Monster. Living Tribunal, I think a lot of people have been interested in. And Isan's not the only Celestial we'll talk about, but I think a lot of people have been wanting Celestials as either made to orders or HasLabs.
I mean, like Isan as a bit made to order figure would be a good one. But like you said about the Celestials, which Celestial do you do? There's so many different ones, and they've got varied looks, which are not similar enough that you could do like alternate heads because they've got like different color schemes, different patterns, different weapons. So it's which one do you pick to do, and then once you do one, are you committing to doing the whole lot as well? Because you just
Right.
got one Celestial standing on your shelf, or do you need more? Living Tribunal, I think, would be a good one to do. I absolutely hate it in Marvel Snap, but you're thinking, oh, I'm winning, I've got these all, and then some person puts a Living Tribunal down the last one, and you lose it all because it shares out all the points they've got on one thing into the other three. I hate Living Tribunal. Like, again, he's a character who varies, like, because he's, like, beyond the scope of the universe or whatever, so he could be, like, as big as, like, 10 planets, or he can speak to people, like, on a one-to-one, like a 6-foot guy. So I suppose the hardest bit with him is the floating tri-head. Like, how do you do
Right.
that? Do you put, like, a little clear thing underneath him? And then, yeah, like Alioth, like you said, it's just a smoke monster. So how do you do that in figure form? You can't really do it. So, yeah, I don't really need Alioth.
Yeah. Maybe with Living Tribunal, they could do some sort of like magnet system where the head just kind of like floats magnet-wise. That would probably
I
be
mean,
way
they can't
too,
even give us a stand, can they, Dakota?
Right.
How are you going to get this off?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's totally right. It probably would be something like, plastic, like they did with Khonshu. Helicarrier, Orca, and Giganto. Helicarrier, I think, is too big to even be a HasLab. I don't. Again, only if you're going to use your imagination, but if you're going to be able to land Quinjets on the Helicarrier, you don't have a man cave big enough for that. Orca looks kind of cool, and Giganto would be kind of fun with Mole Man, maybe.
Yeah, Giganto as well. I think you could kind of get away with just doing the top half and then doing like a
Yeah.
bunch of like rocks, and then, like you said, have Mole Man on the side. So you maybe would need to make him as big as the other characters. Like Orca is probably the most realistic that they could do. I would buy an Orca. The Helicarrier in Marvel Legends scale, I can't see it happening. Even if the HasLab came back, it'd have to be like multiple
Your
HasLabs that
house
they
is the
send you throughout the
Helicarrier,
year. Yeah. Yeah, but like, I mean, some kind of like smaller scale, like what's the Star Wars the Star Wars squadrons? Don't they do like the different vehicles, the little figures? Like, so
Yeah.
if someone did that kind of line with the Marvel vehicles, like that would be
Yeah.
good with like little 1 inch little figures of like Captain America and Nick Fury. But yeah,
Yep.
otherwise, I haven't got the space for that. So yeah, it's not
Right.
something that would be on my list.
Yeah. I think I would. I have no room for it, but I would be interested in seeing a
You're gonna put it on the
Giganto.
roof.
Yeah. True.
You could live on the Helicarrier.
That's true, yeah. I'd turn the bus into the Helicarrier. All right, we've got the Infinite, Erisham, another Celestial, and then Death. So we've had Death as a Diamond Select figure, and which I think is probably fine. Like, she doesn't really need to be super articulated or anything. There's probably a decent chance we would get Rio from another Disney Plus wave,
Yeah.
but probably not the most necessary of the figures.
Out of these three, for me, she's the most necessary.
I mean,
would
well,
love.
yeah, I guess the other ones are ginormous, so that makes them a little more unlikely.
But I
But
think as well, she's like story wise, she's got the most like depth to have all these characters. Like the Infinite only shows up in the 616 Ultimates. Like he's like the big bad. The like Blue Marvel is trying to like bring the other team together so like they can get him down to like human size so they can like deal with him and sort him out. But he
I've never
doesn't
read anything
really.
with him. Yeah.
No, yeah, he never appears out. It's a good run, but he
Okay.
never appears in like anything else at all. So he's only in that like Ultimate 616. It's where like it's Black Panther, Captain Marvel, America Chavez, and I think Galactus ends up joining the team at one
Yeah.
point, trying to deal with like all these like outer reality things. Like Arishem is it's another Celestial, but I don't think he's the one that I would want the most, even though he is, I suppose, the father of all the Celestials. He's quite boring looking, I think, compared to some of the
Yeah.
other like Jack Kirby designs. Like Arishem is quite basic, I think. But Death with like a human head, with a like skull head as
Skull.
well, standing next to Thanos, like seducing Deadpool. Like she's
Yeah.
appears in
True.
so different many Marvel comic books. But equally, like I said, I would take a Rio figure. I think Agatha all along was massively overlooked
Yep.
by the Marvel Legends team. They didn't do one figure from it. Even like an updated Agatha who can
Yeah.
move some joints would be good. Like I take anything. And like Wiccan, surprisingly,
Yeah.
like not even a comic book Wiccan. But yeah, of these three, Death would be the one I would want. But
Yeah.
she's a pain to play because if you don't get
Right.
those like destroyed cards or discarded cards, and she doesn't go down in price, then you can never play her. So
Right. Jordan and I are always arguing about whether Agatha was good. I loved Agatha. I thought that was an amazing show. Jordan wasn't impressed, so I just,
I think of the most recent ones, it was probably my favorite one. I think the problem with the Disney Plus shows is everyone wants like a superhero story. They want it to be like all the other there's a pattern now in people's heads with what Marvel like live action should be. And I think when it deviates from that, so like Agatha all along was quite campy. It was quite like ridiculous with how they went in it. There was like musicals. There was like different episodes, like going to different genres and stuff like that, different horror genres. So I think when it becomes that, it puts people off as well. But and again, it strays massively from the source material as well, which again puts people off. But as its own thing, I really did like Agatha all along. And again, I liked WandaVision as well. So I'm looking forward to the Vision, the third part in the trilogy, when they do like Vision Quest. I think that'll be an interesting take on like the Vision series and seeing that. And hopefully we'll see Agatha and Wiccan again somewhere, hopefully.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. All right, you mentioned it earlier. We've got Surge, Prodigy, and Elixir. These are kind of newer cards to the game. I think Surge seems like a pretty easy one to do because you've got the Quake figure that kind of has those like metal gauntlets.
Yeah.
And honestly, Elixir and Prodigy don't seem that challenging to make as figures either.
No, and I mean, Elixir and Prodigy are more or less the same costume. It's just Elixir has a vest, and Prodigy has like his armband. I think in the comic book he has a jacket on. So, like you were saying about Rockslide in his Hellions look, these are like the opponents to the Hellions. So the Hellions were like Emma Frost's group, and these were like the new mutants. They were like, I think Danny Moonstar was their trainer in the comic books. I think could be wrong, but it was like Surge, Prodigy, Elixir, Wind Dancer, Wallflower, and I think Icarus was for a bit, and then he like switched teams, didn't he? And then I would say Dust, I think, as well.
Yep.
So they all had like a uniform look, whereas like the Hellions were red and white. These were all yellow and white, and then they come together in Childhood's End. X-23 joins the team, and it kind of all merges with different members of the team. So you end up like getting like a Noel joins the team, and you end up with Pixie on the team then in the quest for magic. Going deep on my new X-Men knowledge here.
Right.
But yeah, all of these characters are long overdue. There's another YouTuber, shout out to the OG Rob Pollack, and he's always championing for the new X-Men figures to be made. Because apart from X-23, none of them have ever been in any figure form. And they're kind of like that lost generation. Because even like the Generation X now, we've started to see those coming about. We've had Monet, you've had Husk this year, Chamber. And then the figures after this, so like the class after this, like Quentin Quire, no, Quentin Quire was before this, but like we've had newer mutants as well, is what I'm trying to say. But
Yeah.
these are definitely the missing team. And I think there's a lot of people, like you said, that was the first comic book you read. There's a lot of people now getting to like their 20s and 30s who this was their new X-Men team.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be good to see these characters. Like Surge is showing up in like other media as well. So yeah, I would love this team. I don't think it's that hard to do when the uniforms are all quite similar. You could
Mm-hmm.
definitely do this team as like a box set or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. And yeah, I could see it probably be trickled out over time to keep you wanting. 'Cause I think that's Hasbro's. Like, they know what they're doing. They're like, all right, we're going to make this team, and we're going to make you wait years for Farrell. And then by the time we give you Farrell, you'll have already started 3 other teams that you need to wait for other figures to complete. And you'll never have that, like, actual complete team without starting another one. But I think these could be coming at some point. Some more newer cards. Toxie Doxy, never heard of her. Fan Fei, kind of similar. And Topaz, which, looking this up, because I was like, did we get a Topaz figure with the Grandmaster? I don't think we did. But
No.
seeing Topaz in comic form, I didn't realize that's who this was. I was like, a comic version of that would be kind of cool, even though I don't know that she's really in many comics.
Yeah, she's very, very minor, Topaz is. I mean, the same with Fanfare as well. I wouldn't say
Mm-hmm.
she's like massively known. Of them all, though, I'm surprised you don't know Toxie Doxy. So Toxie Doxy is the Dark Avengers, Norman Osborn's team. So when the
Mm.
original Dark Avengers disband, she's part of the second generation, and she's like the Scarlet Witch of that thing. So she can like manage toxins, do 2 different stuff. I think she was in like Ravencroft. I think she was in that, like the criminal insane asylum is where she like
Mm.
first shows up. But yeah, she's a cool looking character. I mean, all of these I wouldn't be crying out for, but I think of the
Sure.
3, Toxie Doxy would probably be the one that I would want the most.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to read the next round of Dark Avengers, because I've read the originals several times, but
Yeah.
I've never gone past that. So I'll put it on the list. All right, we've got Ajax, Aranya, and Black Swan. I don't think we've gotten Black Swan before, right?
No, never. We've had the rest of the Black Order, but
Mm.
never Black Swan. But then I think Black Swan is the one that doesn't show up in the MCU. She's comic book
Mm.
only. She's a big part of the lead up to the Secret Wars, the Jonathan Hickman
Okay.
Secret Wars, the second run of Secret Wars. Arana, we technically kind of had, because we've had the Black Spider Girl figure, which is
Oh, yeah.
Arana as Spider Girl,
Okay.
but we haven't had this like her in her original look, and she's gone back to using Arana in the comic book now, and obviously she was in the best MCU movie of last year, Madam Web, wasn't
Yeah.
she? There she was,
I
part
I
of
thought
that
that was a
team.
better show than people thought. I liked it.
I, it was very much like early 2000s kind of
Yeah.
like movie like type of thing.
Very
But
true.
yeah, it wasn't as bad. It was just there was a lot of I think a lot of plot points that could have been worked on, like where she
Sure.
just goes to Brazil for like 3 weeks or whatever, and
Right.
then comes back and her taxi's still there. Like, come
Yep.
on. But yeah, Ajax, I think of all the ones, he's probably the most overdue. And I
Hmm.
think for such a popular character like Deadpool's role gallery is very minimal in Marvel Legends form. Like we kind of had like Deadpool waves, but we the villain wise, they've never built it up. They just usually give us like alternate versions of Deadpool.
Yeah.
But Ajax would be a great figure. I mean, he's in the first Deadpool movie, I think, as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So he'd be a great character to get. But equally, I'd take Arana in her original look as well, or Black Swan, because she's a good character. Again, I don't think any of these are out of the realm of
Right.
possibility. Like even Arana, there's bits you can reuse from other characters, even though she's got like trainers and backpacks and stuff like that. I think there
Hmm.
are bits you can pull from to get that. So yeah, all of these 3 I would be happy with.
Yeah. I could totally see Aranya coming in a Spider-Man, kind of that modern retro card. Black Swan seems like it'd be an easy enough character to do, not a lot of new tooling. Ajax, maybe there'd be some new tooling, but I think there's enough like armored up other characters. Like, yeah, I think these are all possible to see in Marvel Legends.
Avalanche with a shield. That's all you need. Just
Yeah,
like pull from
true.
Avalanche. It's like a shield on it. That's all you need.
I don't even know how to say this first person's name.
Kiara?
Kiara. Okay, Kiara, Copycat,
Kira.
and Firehair. I think.
So, go
Yeah,
on,
you go
sorry.
ahead. You go ahead. I don't know much about
I,
any of these.
so Firehair like pairs with that, like the original, the first Ghost Rider type of thing.
Hmm.
So it's like the Phoenix from back in like the Avengers 10,000 BC. So yeah, I mean it's just another Phoenix. I mean it's weird that we've only had Jean as the Phoenix when so many other people have been
True.
Phoenix in the comic book. But I think if they release this before Rachel Summers, I think the internet might riot. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely not going to campaign for Firehair. Copycat is odd because technically we've had Copycat because we've had Domino in her OG X-Force look, which was Copycat impersonating
Oh.
Domino. So Domino never really wore that costume in the comic book. She got her own costume when she eventually escapes and joins X-Force. But Copycat doesn't really have a uniform. She just like she's usually naked when she appears, like with her blue skin and like white hair. But like otherwise, she's just impersonating someone, and then like the head will change, and then suddenly it's Copycat. So I
Mm.
don't think you really need a look for Copycat. She just needs to be an alternate head on someone, really.
Yeah.
And then like building out like that, like the World War Hulk characters,
Hmm.
like Kara. Like we'll have
Right.
to know how to spell it. It needs to be a figure on a Marvel Legends live stream, so they pronounce it so everyone knows how to
Yep.
say it. But yeah, she would be a good character to have. But then I think characters like Meek or like an actual Korg or an
Hmm.
actual like comic book Korg are probably more wanted than someone like her.
True. Yeah. Use it to fill out a Warbound, but don't make it the first figure we get for the Warbound. All right. Frigga, Galacta, and Goliath. We've gotten Goliath in the Marvel Universe line, which I think works in with the Marvel Legends as kind of the. I think it's the same size as your Toy Biz Giant Man.
Yeah.
Galacta kind of again would probably go well with the Marvel Rivals wave, and then Frigga. People are always wanting to build out their Thor displays because we don't really get a lot of Thor figures. I don't know that she'd be the one that like people would be really clamoring for, but they'd probably be decently happy to get her.
I mean, I would love Frigga. The old mother as she is, she's like a
Yeah.
great character. I mean, especially in the run with Jane Foster, and she's like mentoring Jane through everything. Where like Odin is like doesn't want to know her. Frigga would be a great character. Like, she's got so many different looks as well. I want like the more like the Russell Dortman design from that Jane Foster series. I would love to see. Galacta is a fun and stupid character. So she's just like the daughter of Galactus. She just gets this like one-off appearance in the comic books. But as a character, she looks great. Like it's such an easy design as well. It's like Galactus's head with hair coming out of it, and on just like a regular female-sized body. She's not massive like Galactus, but she still like needs to eat to survive. So she's a good character. Like you said, she's part of I think she's like the shop, isn't she, in Marvel Rivals? She's like the one you go to and does all these like different alternates and stuff. But yeah, great character. I would buy that. Goliath, technically we haven't had, but speaking about the What If figures earlier, we had like the What If version of Goliath, didn't we? In that What If wave.
Oh yeah, true. We did.
So we've had him kind of recently, but I would love a comic book version of Goliath. Again, it's like what size you doing then? I think do you make him like a builder figure? Do you make him like a normal size figure? Do you make him like a massive like reuse the giant man body, set off the internet on fire,
Yeah.
reuse the Haslam body as Goliath? I'm sure that would go down well as well.
There you go. It would get people talking for sure. You'd have plenty
A
of
lot of
people.
videos about that.
Yep, exactly. There's content for the next month right there. Luna Snow, which we've mentioned, Madam Web, your favorite movie of all time, and
Love
Penny
it, love
Parker.
it.
So I feel like we've had a Penny Parker on the leaks list for the last like as long as I've been collecting. It would make sense because you've got the Spider Verse, and she'd be the last one I think we need to complete that like original movie Spider Verse team.
Yeah.
You could make I mean, you've already got the SPDR, but it's not the same as what's in the movie. But I still like the Build-A-Figure plenty. Madam Web, I know Dan's talking about doing a chair wave. Should be a
Throne Wave, Game of Thrones, Marvel style.
yeah, she'd be perfect for that. And then Luna Snow to go right with the Marvel Rivals wave.
Yeah, so this Penny Parker, this is her Marvel Rivals look as well. Like you said, she's got a completely different look in the comic book, and then in the Spider-Verse, she's got a different look again. So it's like, which one do you go with? This one very much apes Diva, doesn't it, from Overwatch? I think that's the look they've gone with this, like,
Mm,
like 18, 19, 20-year-old girl with this like
yeah,
giant mech. So yeah, in a Marvel rival waves, Penny Parker and Luna Snow would both fit. But then Penny, I think it needs to be like a two pack with the spider armor because Penny on her own,
sure, yeah,
you don't really see her in the game. She's always
yeah,
inside the mech, so it's kind of like difficult. And the same with Madam Web. You couldn't just do Madam Web. She'd just be like falling over with that long dress trail behind
yep,
her. You need a throne, so you need to do her like Kang, I think, like with
hmm,
a throne piece, something like that, some kind of like exclusive set or deluxe set. Luna Snow, I could see of everyone on this list. I think she's the most likely because I think in terms of Marvel rivals, she's definitely got a lot of love. And she's a modern day character. Like she's a K-pop star, so you're hitting like all these different audiences.
yeah,
And in the game, she's a great healer. She's one I play a lot. Her
mm,
and Jeff the Landshark. Put them together as a two pack. Give us like an updated Jeff and Luna Snow. I would buy the two of them. And again, her Rivals look is not dissimilar to a comic book look anyway. So I think she's a character you could fudge in either one. Whereas like Penny Parker, I think is harder to fit in
mm,
this look is harder to fit anywhere else. But Luna Snow, like she can build out that Agents of Atlas. She's been in the comic books lately. She showed up like a concert with like Dazzler and Lila Cheney and Spider Gwen was there as well. So yeah, I would love a Luna Snow character. But my most wanted is of course Madam Web. Whether
yeah.
it's this one or Dakota Johnson, I'll take both. Do a two pack of all the Madam Webs. Old woman
One
Madam
chair for both
Web.
of them.
Yeah, well, you don't need a chair for Dakota Johnson because her acting is
Mm,
wooden enough. She could just stand on her own.
okay. We've got Speed, Starbrand, and General Ross. Speed, I'm surprised that we haven't had before because I feel like I always think we do have because we had the old Avengers box set, but he was not part of that. Starbrand, again, I think we're going back to like the Avengers 1 million BC maybe.
Yeah,
And then General Ross, I think could be possibly coming because I feel like there's rumblings of a retro Hulk card line coming. Maybe again, that's just our delusions that it's coming, but I think he would make sense to put on the retro card if they do it.
yeah, and he's not too hard to do as well. I feel something about
Hmm.
Ross, especially because we've got a red Hulk figure anyway. So to just do like a guy in an army suit with like an updated head and like a finger pointing like that, like it's not beyond the realms of possibility. I think it's pretty easy to do. And like you said, on a retro carded Hulk back, it would fit the most. Would it sell a lot? Is there probably a question because he's quite
Right.
like he doesn't stand out on the shelf. And I think if you've got a red Hulk, do you really need him? But I think for classic Hulk villains, he's probably like the best supporting character of like evil wise you can put with Bruce Banner.
Hmm.
Speed, I think, was missed from that Young Avengers set because it was the original Young Avengers, so it was when it was just the original four boys. So it was
Hmm.
before like Stature, before Kate Bishop joined the team, and before Speed ended up joining the team. I think in the last issue of the original Young Avengers line. But yeah, he's pretty easy to do. And again, with him being in like one division as well, he's been in the MCU, so it's surprising we kind of like haven't had that. And I think it's not within the realms of possibility of us getting that. Starbrand, I would love a Starbrand figure, but I don't want this version of Starbrand. I want like the new universe, the classic Starbrand. Like I don't think we've ever had any new universe figures. That would be like a great figure to have to do like Starbrand and Night Mask, or even like Jonathan Hickman then brings them into Avengers and like Avengers World in that era, just before Battle World and Secret Wars. Like to do Night Mask and Starbrand, those versions, I would buy those as well. He's got like a long legacy in Marvel. He's one of the few new universe characters who they've kind of like brought over to the MCU proper, given him his own backstory. There's been different bearers of Starbrand in the MCU in the 616 as well. I think we're on like a third one, but yeah, it's a great concept, and I would love a Starbrand, yeah, but not
Yeah.
this version, not
Sure.
the Avengers BC version.
I mean, I think this one looks pretty easy to do of just like, flesh paint Hulk figure, but yeah, I think
Yeah,
you'd have to go with the one that more people know. But yeah, I would definitely want a speed because I wouldn't mind building up a new Young Avengers team. General Ross, I'd probably pass on him. Last 4 cards here. King Itri?
Eitri, yeah. Eitri.
Ravonna Renslayer, Supergiant, and Valentina. So Valentina would make some sense since she was just in the Thunderbolts movie. Ravonna would make some sense because of the Loki show. The other two, maybe not so much, but maybe, I guess.
I mean, Supergiant is probably the one missing from the Black Order, isn't she? From the comic book run from, and they changed it for the MCU, but like this Supergiant, I would quite like build up that team. Like Valentina is such an easy figure to do.
Right.
It's just like a shield uniform, like with a new head. But again, you could do like an Isteranko, like classic, like backless, like uniform where she's like this sexy femme fatale. I would like to see that rather than like I think probably they're gonna end up doing like Julia Louis-Dreyfus. It's gonna be that version they do, the MCU version, and but I'd like a comic book Valentina. I think she's a good character. Ravonna Renslayer. I mean, if we're gonna see, I would like her comic book version more, like her OG comic book version.
Is she like a Serpent Society character?
I don't know if she's in the Serpent Society.
She looks very snake-like, and just from like alternate cards I've seen.
Yeah, from very like 90s, like looks like Rob Liefeld kind of style, like with all the armor and bits like that.
Yeah,
but she'd be a good character to get for like building out like the cosmic display. But yeah, I mean, I suppose a lot of people who love Loki, the TV series, they want this and like a Miss Minute. We've never had like a Miss Minute, even in the Marvel Legends line. Like King Eitri, again, another one we can't say, so they need to release this so we don't say it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm good. He's so minor. I know he's got like a bit to do in the MCU where he like gives Thor his like new hammer, doesn't he? I think yeah. But otherwise, just minor, not really into it. I think of them all, Valentina would be the one I would want. Mm-hmm. But I think Valentina, they're going to give me in the way I don't want her. It's just going to be Elaine standing there, like shouting as that's what we're going to go.
Give her some thumbs to do the dancing. All right, so if people have been watching this long, they probably want to know like what our decks are in Marvel Snap since we've been talking Marvel Snap for so long. This is my go-to deck. I just got Arishem. I think I have more fun playing him because it gives you a bunch of random cards to go with versus otherwise, like I like my Black Panther deck that I usually Wong, Black Panther, Arnim Zola win that way. It's just like it's so repetitive of like I just do this every single time. This gives me some different options, different cards. I like my Magic is one of my top Marvel characters, so I've got probably the most variants of her. Just got this fantasy variant the other day, but I've got the disco variant. I've got the symbiote variant. Agamotto's another fun one to play in there. Get some of the Winds of Watum is pretty much worth Agamotto himself. But anyway, and then you gotta throw Galactus in there too. Really shake up the game, surprise him on turn 5 by blowing up the other locations. And then your deck.
My Battlestar Galactica. Well, Battlestar Galacta even. So yeah, this again, like you, I love it, Arishem, because it gives you a bunch of like different cards. And then I got Thanos in here as well, which gives you the Infinity Stone. So this is a pretty stacked deck. If you've got like Cassandra Nova, she's going to take a lot of points away from this. But I've got like Pixie in there who will like mix up the different points of everything. So with those one-stoned Thanos stones, it can like pull the points down on like some 6 cards and stuff like that. You've got Agent Coulson who will add some cards to you. Wave reduces the point. You've got Shadow King and Shang-Chi then as like defense. So Shadow King, if you do play that Cassandra Nova, she can like reduce her back down to nothing. Shang-Chi can like take her out. Gladiator can get rid of some of your small cards. And because you've got such a stacked deck with a lot of like one with the Infinity Stones, like Dazzler usually gets like all locations are usually full. And then if someone like plays Magic, I've got Legion to like get rid of that, to stop turn 7 and just win it on turn 6.
I love it. If you're not already in I don't even know what this is called, like a
A guild. It's like a guild,
A
is it?
guild? Yeah, you can join the Strong Collectors Guild. Right now, it's only me and my brother-in-law. So if you're new to Snapped, you can join us. I don't know if you're in a guild already, Rich, but you can come
I
on
think
over.
I'm in one, but I'm probably the best one in there. So I'll come and boost you up now. I'll search for the strong collectors and
Yeah,
join.
we definitely don't have enough people to ever get the like community like maxed out thing. We only get like
Oh,
because
you'll have
like
me
it's
in it now. We get it every
there we
week,
go.
man. We get it every week.
Yeah, because yeah, me and my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law doesn't play quite as much as I do, so I'm usually carrying the team, but that's what those are. But let us know if we forgot anything. That there's cards that we don't have as figures that you want as figures. If there's variant cards that you want as figures, let us know that too in the comments. Make sure you're following Displayed Once on Instagram. Make sure you're liking and sharing this video. And until next time, stay strong.